Chicago. What do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook, and use that promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Tuesday. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera. The crew's all here. We're going to talk some baseball, Cubs, just like we do every day, Monday through Friday, 120s. We're always here.
Even in the offseason.
You know, we have a lot to talk about. We have trade suggestions that were sent to Ryan. We have rumors of guys not being tendered. We have rumors about guys that will be offered big deals from other teams. We have grades to hand out for two of the Cubs as we continue our report cards. But a little time off the top for the Bears. I see the CHGO representation, the Bears rep. How much did you enjoy watching the Bears put in their best game in a long time?
It was awesome. And that's all I got to say.
It felt rare, right?
Awesome.
It was just like, what happened?
It's just right away. Because you came in thinking like Bill Belichick will always figure out how to stop the best point of attack for any other team. That's what Bill Belichick does.
Yeah.
So you're like, the Bears, they can't throw the ball. Justin Fields is really good at scrambling. Belichick's going to stop him from doing that, and all of a sudden, what did Fields end up having, like 80-something rushing yards? And he was
rusher, wasn't
it? I mean, it was a game that the Bears, outside of like when Bailey Zappi came in and it kind of felt like it went from 100 to 0.
Yeah.
And then the Bears came back. But outside of those two possessions, the Bears basically dominated this game. And it wasn't what anyone was expecting. I think they were like an 8.5-point underdog or something like that. Like it was just a great game to watch. And they didn't embarrass us on national television. Like that's really all you can ask for, and they didn't. It
was a great day for Chicago sports last night.
It was the classic Kevin Malone video that I tweet after every Cubs win. It's just nice to win one. Like it.
Yeah.
Savor the flavor, because you know that the Chicago Bears will bring you. They will take you on the highs, and there's very few of them. But when you're high, figuratively and literally,
I knew
when you were high like that, they will drag you back down to the depths of misery, which is what they have done my entire life. So celebrate it. Happy Victory Tuesday to all of us here at the CHGO studios. It's just nice to win one. Now, I would love to change my tone moving forward, so go beat the Cowboys or at least cover 9.5.
Hey, the best part,
there you go.
Me winning $500 on DraftKings last night.
Oh, you didn't even tell us that.
Hold on.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Okay, all right.
But I thought about it. I thought about it. But then I thought to myself, no, we got another box of diapers coming to the house. Let's hold off on that till
would
next
have been
week.
great.
It would have been the bet to make.
If you had signed up on DraftKings using code CHGO last night and used those $200 in free bets on the Bears and the Bulls on a moneyline parlay, holy shit. Like, what that's...
Colada says, enough Bears talk. Back to Ricketts.
That would have been insane.
He's here.
All right.
I tell you what, the final thing I'll say on the Bears, and because I'm Uncle Buzzkill, just keep in mind they had 11 days to prepare for a team that is probably mediocre or worse. Right? They're 3-4 now too. I know it was Belichick, so that's why I gave it a little sauce too.
Impressive wins the last couple weeks.
It was a nice win. They played well. They had 11 days against another team that has no quarterback and isn't very good. I hope that's not too much of a buzzkill.
Don't kill our vibe.
Yeah,
Stucky.
you're killing the vibe.
You're right. All right. Sorry. I just wanted to be a realist. Like I heard sports radio coming in. I was like, all right, everybody settle down. Like,
all right. Well,
franchise changing moment.
Last
like, I don't know. Let's wait.
My last thing is, if the Bears did, in fact, go on to lose by 9 or more points last night and get embarrassed on prime time for the 10th straight time, then we'd all be saying that all the things that we've been saying over the last couple weeks. So, like,
it's just nice to win one.
Yeah, it's just nice to win one.
All right, I'm
I'm
going to take it all back. Everybody's calling me the vibe killer now.
Never apologize for a W. Never apologize for winning.
All right,
absolutely not.
Let's get to the baseball. I've seen some interesting reports out there. One of them suggesting the Dodgers are going to go all in on Aaron Judge. By what would a bidding war between the Dodgers and Yankees look like for Aaron Judge? And what if the Mets decide to dabble in there? More importantly,
where's this report out of?
I don't remember.
Oh,
to be honest
okay.
with you, I
Don't let
just,
the facts get in the way of a
just
good
someone
story.
saying, yeah, they're going after Judge, and I was like, oh, okay. if they go in all in on Judge, the Dodgers, and they, like nothing surprises me about the Dodgers anymore.
Yeah.
But they do not have, despite what it looks like, they don't have an endless amount of cash, right? Does that mean that Turner is definitely hitting the market? Maybe. Like if they're going after Judge, they can't afford to be throwing that kind of money at Trey Turner too, especially with Mookie Betts on the team. And would it mean Betts is moving
And
positions?
with Freddie Freeman on that team.
And Freddie Freeman. And what does it mean for Cody Bellinger?
Right. It's a good
And
question.
so those are two guys that two guys in. First of all, I'm one to say I'm all in on Aaron Judge, but I don't know if realistically they will outbid the Yankees and Dodgers if that's what it comes to.
But hey, a lot of people out of New York feel like the Cubs are at least part of the conversation.
And frankly, they should be.
They are.
They should be. Like they need Aaron Judge more than those other two teams need Aaron Judge.
I just always get the feeling that it's like even if they're a contender, because I have seen that, it always feels like a distant contender. Like there's going to be like the Yankees and now apparently
It's
the
one of
Dodgers.
those
Not like a
it's
White
just
Sox
nice to be
contender
here.
where they underbid you by like $60 million. Like we were in on it.
Yeah, it's like a if like
I
if
think
there's any chatter about the Cubs and Aaron Judge, it's like distant. Like it would be a very big surprise if that actually came.
It would
fruition.
definitely be very surprising because Aaron Judge is going to be 31 next year. He's been in the playoffs like every year of his career. And, I mean, why leave that ballpark that he has really, like, it's really benefited him, not to take anything away from his talent, but why would he do that to even – honestly, I don't know why he'd want to go to San Francisco. He would have a significant drop in home runs, in my opinion. And, maybe, Dodgers, I mean, whatever. Like, that's fine. Like, that makes a lot of sense. But at least that the Dodgers or Los Angeles and the Cubs, at least, I don't think that would really affect his numbers as far as ballpark-wise. You know what I mean? So, I'm not getting up for it.
MLB.com.
MLB.com.
Talking
where you
about
saw
Judge to Dodgers rumors.
Okay.
Betts moved to
That
second
sounds like
base.
a
Is that
good
what it's
source.
Moving to second base would move to second base. What does it mean? Yeah. So it's not. Sports Illustrated has something about it too. Like it's not.
Did you say Betts would move to second base?
Yeah. Which
They'd
would be
move a
crazy.
Gold Glove outfielder to the infield?
Listen, this is just what I'm reading.
He's not putting it together.
I'm just thinking. Well, the first thing that came to my head was when I saw Judge to be pursued by the Dodgers was number one. Dang, why aren't the Cubs in this conversation like everybody else? Like, don't tell me it's a pipe dream if other teams are thinking the same thing. Like they can outbid the Yankees, but if you can't and you're not going to, then what's plan B off that? Like I want Judge to be plan A, but what's plan B? Is it
Feinstein wrote, sorry to cut you off. Feinstein wrote like a here's 5 possible landing spots for Judge, also on MLB.com, and he
says sources say right that they're going heavy on him.
Yeah, like it has the Yankees, Dodgers, Giants, and Mets, and Red Sox.
So no Cubs.
No Cubs.
No, he's not mentioning Cubs, but I'm saying okay. So if Judge goes to one of those teams, specifically the Dodgers, who does that free up? Who are they not paying? Yeah. Like certainly they wouldn't be tendering an offer to Cody Bellinger.
Right.
So how does Cody Bellinger look in a Cubs uniform next year?
I love the idea of it based off the defense and the high ceiling, low floor outlook with it. 1 year left, so you're not even like investing multiple years. He hasn't played well enough to even earn a multi-year extension from anyone. And yeah, if they go after Judge, like I understand the Dodgers have endless amounts of resources and money, and they've shown that they've been way over the luxury tax for multiple years now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Like I would not be surprised if they non-tendered him. I would MLB Trade Rumors projected Bellinger to make $18.1 million next year, and he's been a 2.3 WAR player total since 2019 ended. That's 3 bad seasons. I mean, 41 homers total the last 3 years. This guy was a 7 WAR player in 2019. Like he's down bad. He is down bad right now.
Reclamation project.
Exactly.
And
like
as of
that's
now,
what
it hasn't been like an anomaly. It's like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's not a small sample size anymore.
Right. Like it's crazy how bad him and Christian Yelich have been, and they were like MVP caliber players in 2019, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like even Christian Yelich has been better than him. Like at least Christian Yelich is still getting on base. Like Bellinger ain't doing shit. Like he got removed in the playoff game against San Diego. Like that's how bad it's gotten. Like he's definitely got some issues, and if I wouldn't mind if the Cubs, got to pay him that $18 million if the Dodgers non-tendered him and the Cubs picked him up as a reclamation project, but like only if they still went and signed one of the top shortstops or top bats on the market.
Yes.
At least two of them.
He can't be your big offensive.
He can't be the big offseason thing. He would be a great like third or fourth addition to whatever Jed is doing this offseason, I think.
Yeah, when I look at it, and it's like I think we have talked about in the past just the outfield depth that the Cubs have in the minor leagues. So if Cody Bellinger is someone they want to like go and try to get, it shouldn't be a long-term deal. Like,
right?
It should be 1, maybe 2 with an opt-out or something. Like it can't be a long-term deal. And I will say he kind of fits. We've talked about the need for a glove first outfielder, and we know that Cody Bellinger is an above average defender.
It's the one thing that he's still doing.
Yeah,
that's
that
what
he's
I'm
still
saying. He's
doing.
not. People are talking about the outfield depth the Cubs have, but like you could put him at first base.
You could put him at first base as well. That's true. I'm not saying like.
And he's left-handed, and they need left-handed bats.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you can't go get him because of all this depth, because again they're minor leaguers. They haven't proven anything at the major league level. But it also can be like a guy where you're like, okay, this guy's gonna be part of our future. We're gonna sign him, and the rest, whatever, a playoff. Like he feels more like a guy like when we talk about Jose Abreu, like he's a guy maybe a couple year contract as a guy that can still play well, hopefully, but will not ultimately plug up that hole at first base or wherever it is. Cody Bellinger would kind of feel the same way as me, but he does fit a little bit more of the billing of what the Cubs are looking to get this offseason.
I'll say this. I'll say
27?
this.
27.
If PCA was undoubtedly ready to come up opening day next year, then I could understand what the chat's saying about the upcoming outfielders. And this isn't like a slap at Brennan Davis, but like he's not playing in the Arizona Fall League right now. Like, I don't want to say he's injury prone, but like the back injury, like there's a lot of questions with him. PCA is coming off his best year as a professional and all this, but like he's not going to be ready on opening day, right? We probably won't even see him until September next year.
Probably, yeah.
Most likely. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him at all. He would have to have another insane minor league season like he did this year. Like he's the only one that I'd be like, you don't want to block that guy from or take at bats or anything away, because he's shown at the minor league level that he can hit and that he can play defense. Like that he's the one that I would be like, all right, like we don't have to do this. This isn't like a thing that we need to do. And even taking that out of the equation, I just don't think it's something that the Cubs have to do, but they're in a position where it makes sense to do.
Yeah, and I just think it's very much like Abreu. It allows you flexibility. Like if you believe Mervis is ready to come up and get a shot because of his incredible growth and the way he's grown as a hitter, cool. But this lets him ease into the major leagues. Like he doesn't have to play every day. He doesn't have. You can set the matchups just right for him, so he kind of eases in hitting wise into the big leagues. He's got someone to watch it and follow as well. Either one of those guys works for me. I'm cool with it. Bellinger, you have a high ceiling there. Maybe he's one of those guys that needs just a change of scenery and boom, sparking. All of a sudden, you're getting a deal, $18 million for 1 year.
Yeah. And now that I kind of think about it a little bit more too, it's like if for whatever reason, again, the bat just doesn't play and he's a good defender, but the bat just not playing, and then some of these guys come up next year and deserve playing time. I mean, if he's like your fourth or fifth outfielder, that means that's probably a better option than if Michael Hermosillo's gone already. But they're gonna need at least like 5 outfielders on the roster, like guys that can play capable outfield on the roster. I know there's guys that Morel plays like 6 positions, so that he's one guy, but he's a lefty, a left-handed hitter. He plays multiple outfield positions, also plays first. This could it mean that they part ways with Rafael Ortega? But it's just like if it ends up being where he's like your 4th, your 5th outfielder, his bat's not playing, but you're late in the game and you need solid defense, you could throw him out there. That's not a bad. It doesn't seem like a bad thing or a worst case ssenario to me in a situation like that, because that
He's
does
Hayward, who could play first base at worst case scenario,
and it does still allow you the flexibility where if a guy like Canario is ready to be up, or Brennan Davis is tearing up AAA and he's coming up, or for whatever reason Pete Crow Armstrong just absolutely destroys the minor league and it's like, okay, it's August, let's bring him up, right? But I don't think Cody Bellinger blocks that either.
Right.
No, he only blocks it if he's got like a 6-year deal or something.
Yeah, exactly.
crazy,
That's what I'm saying. And which is not something that could.
The only way that I could actually see PCA on the Cubs next year is if the Cubs are actually competing, and they are, an outfielder or something away from really maybe taking a step into being in that wild card race or something like that. That would be it'd be like very similar to like how they brought up Kyle Schwarber. Like that's the only way that I could see them calling up PCA earlier than what we expect.
Yeah.
Right now, I can't say that they're going to do that because the offseason hasn't really technically began. Got to see how this roster plays out and see what they do and add in terms of outfield depth. Obviously, they got a lot of depth in terms of what they already have in the outfield and on the farm. But I also, you just, if you're the Cubs, you just cannot go into next year banking on Brennan Davis or any of these other outfield prospects they have as someone who can just step in and, save you if an injury happens or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I have a lot of belief in Brennan Davis. He was great 2 years ago in the minor leagues, and last year is not technically really his fault for what happened, but like there's question there. It's not something that I feel comfortable with saying, okay, Brennan Davis, opening day, center field, like I'm gonna feel comfortable with it. I would love to see him on that opening day roster if he does have an insane spring or something like that, but you also have to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
And like that's the big thing. And like Rafael Ortega ain't gonna be that guy. No. You know what I mean? Like I would even say Bellinger is a better backup plan than anyone that the Cubs have to play center field right now.
Oh, for sure.
And like that's
he's a
how,
better first base
for sure
backup plan
but
than
like
anybody they have.
The point is like that, like that's how bad Bellinger has kind of been though. Like I said, 2.3 F4 over the last 3 years combined. Like
I hear you.
It's not great. So like, with all that said, with how bad it's been with the bat, like he's still a better option than what the Cubs currently have outside of prospects. But again, like I think he'd be a great platoon with a guy like Brennan Davis. And if Brennan Davis starts the year hot, then you got a solid fourth outfielder or someone that you can plug and play somewhere else. I'm sure he could play corner outfield if you absolutely needed him to as well on top of first base. Like I feel like he would be a great, like I said, high ceiling, low floor, or low low floor, high ceiling.
Yeah.
Situation.
I mean, there's definitely a high ceiling because the guy's an former MVP.
He
But
had 3 great years, and his first 3 years were awesome.
His sample size of being great is just as big as his sample size of not being great.
Yeah.
So maybe he's that somewhere in between guy. He's worth taking a gamble on for sure. And the other part of it for me is if they are in on Judge, again, Judge for me, plan A. Bellinger is as long as he's not your 1 or 2 move.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean offense player. If they went and got Rodon and Correa and Bellinger, you got yourself an offseason. I don't care what you look at Bellinger as.
Even Abreu, possibly.
Yeah.
Even Abreu, right. And so then the third option in there of that piece is the whole thing with Turner. I don't see how they'd afford Turner either. So if you're not getting Judge, at least he could be potentially, if he goes to the Dodgers, he could be freeing up one of those other guys because we weren't sure what they would do about Turner. We're not sure what's going to happen with Bogarts. Sounds like the Red Sox really want to keep Bogarts if they can.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I don't want him out of the mix. I want as many of those shortstops on the market as possible so their price comes down so teams have options, right?
Or on the other hand, just so that not everyone is going at every single or the one single shortstop. Like
that's right.
Okay, if you're not getting
you have backup plans.
You don't get Correa, okay, but Trey Turner's still there. Xander Bogaerts is still there.
Dansby Swanson
if he doesn't sign this extension, he may be there too. Like you don't want it to be like all or nothing on Trey Turner or all or nothing on Carlos Correa because that drives the price up. That there's a bidding war, and that hurts.
So what did you think of the trade? I saw you post in Slack for us the other day. Somebody sent you this trade idea?
Someone tweeted at me. What was it? It
was Ian Happ and Nick Madrigal for Ahmed Rosario of the Guardians. And then it was basically, well, then you would also sign one of the top, let's say it's Correa, whoever.
Yeah.
That you would get Correa, and you would move Nico to second, and you would have Rosario at third, Correa at short, Nico, and he was like the super athletic infield. I understand that, but he did only hit like 11 home runs, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm
home
ready to
runs.
give up Happ and Madrigal for a guy, an 11 home run third baseman. Like, where's your power going to come from?
He had
Like,
a
you can't have an
2.4
infield.
this
You can't have an infield made of guys that hit 11 home runs.
Yeah, I mean his, even this year 103 WRC plus. Last year was 99, so he's like right around league average as a hitter. ISO, isolated power isn't too high, so yeah, like you said, not a lot of pop in the bat.
You're giving up a lot.
Yeah.
You're giving up a lot.
If
for
you
Ahmed
told me it was
Rosario.
Madrigal and somebody else,
like maybe.
Yeah, I mean he had
maybe you need at the moment you need Happ to play left field for a year.
Yeah.
and he has a
That,
solid
or if you're
glove.
sending Happ, then I'm asking for another player back with Rosario. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who off the top of my head, but like,
It feels like too much. It feels like too much because I think
Absolutely.
he's a free agent next season. So him and Happ are basically on the same deal. And then you gave up Craig Kimbrell to get Nick Madrigal, partially to get Nick Madrigal. Like I don't see.
Would you give up? I wouldn't. I just wouldn't give up. I wouldn't give up Happ for Rosario
Happ
straight
alone.
up.
That's what I was like thinking the same. I'm like I don't know if that's even something that
he's gonna be 27
Just
next year,
alone.
so I get like there's youth there. There's an
Well, he's a-
idea of maybe maybe entering his prime years, as they say. Like he gets better, but I mean the last 2 years he's been a 2.3, 2.4 F4. The most average offensive hitter, like WRC plus
Yeah,
a
that's what we're
99
saying.
and 103 this year.
It's-
Like there isn't anything that's like, ooh,
you
like
wouldn't
you're
be
not-
getting him for the bat. Like that's what it feels like. You wouldn't. It would be more for defensive purposes, and I don't know if that's
Which
what the Cubs
I
want.
would
Well-
like to have a great defensive infield, but remember, at least with Wisdom, you got home runs. Like
Yeah, like you
this
should
team
have-
doesn't have enough power. Is one of the biggest things they need
He's
to
not
add.
even like getting at on base at like a high clip.
Wisdom-
He's a 312 on base percentage. this
Wisdom,
year.
you feel like, it should be home runs and good defense. And this, like we talked about when we graded him, like this season defensively wasn't great for him, but he had a good defensive season in 2021, and I think there's no reason to believe he can't be a better defender at especially at third base. Like he has a great arm, we know that. It felt like it was always weird plays that he was always making in 2021 that he wasn't in 2022. So I'm like, I don't know if I feel like it's just the season, like but
the
going back to it,
consistency of his playing time too. Like he was a little bit all over the place.
but going back to it, it's like I feel like Wisdom you can count on for at least average defense, which I guess depending where he plays might be a little more valuable or a little less valuable, but good, I feel like you can get good defense and then 25 home runs out of Patrick Wisdom.
Yes.
I just it doesn't feel like a trade that would move the needle in any way, especially
I'm not
considering
s-
they're on the same contract.
And I'm not saying it's an overpay financially. I'm saying it's an overpay
for what you're giving up.
for what you're giving up. Not that
even if with just 1 year left of it.
Yeah, I think Jack said, why would the Guardians trade Rosario? Well, wouldn't Guardians fans be saying, why would the Cubs trade Happ?
Right.
He's all-star. You're going to give me an all-star left fielder who's in on the Gold Glove conversation, and you're going to give me a guy who everybody tells me is going to be this double, triple, like an upside young guy. I don't know. It's not a deal I would
Well,
make.
yeah, when I'm
I don't
looking at
think.
it, like the Happ for Rosario just straight up, it doesn't feel like something I would do. I mean, I guess look into it a little more and like, is there something there that makes it make sense? But then also throwing in Nick Madrigal on there doesn't.
That's your guy. I knew that was going to put you out on the deal.
Even
I would
objective-
trade Madrigal for him. There you go.
I'm saying like looking.
Madrigal for Rosario.
Yeah,
now,
I would do
now
that.
we have a conversation.
I think that's
Yeah,
actually
because
kind of
you
fair.
Because you have McKinstry.
Yeah, sure.
If you want him, I mean, they're kind of the same guy.
If we're talking Rosario for Madrigal, it's a little bit more fair for sure.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. But I'm saying is the Happ on the Happ side, like if Happ has to be included in that, one for one, doesn't feel right. And then even throwing Magical on there just feels like, again, like an overpay.
Yeah. And the Guardians already have their own version of Magical and Stephen Kwan. So, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Whoever sent you that tweet, Ryan, shout out to
Cody
you.
doesn't like it.
I don't like your idea, though. Think of one better.
Hey, but it gave, it's, listen, this offseason is going to be full of
We're just spitballing. That's
ridiculous spitball scenarios.
It was at down SR, down senior, maybe 30. Yeah, appreciate the sending the trade offer. I don't agree.
We just have denied the trade.
I would agree.
If you want to send us more trade ideas, you should sign up, subscribe to all CHGO, and you can be in our Discord, and you can send them all in there.
All CHGO.
Or you can just tweet them at us, too. But, I mean, it'd be cool if you also supported us while also sending us wild-ass trade ideas.
Yeah. And on the
we love
YouTube,
that.
please pound the like button.
Yeah.
Hammer the like button.
Hammer it.
Green Ridge Farm, a Chicago local meat and cheese company offering you a better all-natural option. Makers of all-natural deli meats, sausages, and their famous meat sticks. Perfect for tailgating, happy hour, and school lunches. The all-natural meat sticks are hard-smoked for 8 hours with 16 grams of protein per stick, making a perfect post-workout snack. Meat sticks come in chicken, Black Forest beef, flavors like jalapeno cheddar, and spicy chili. If you haven't tried them, you don't know what you're missing. Delicious because they're made from recipes generations in the making, and being all natural, they deliver a fresh, flavorful alternative at snack time. You can always find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Sam's Club, or your local Chicagoland grocery store. Right now, when you order 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com and include a pack of those meat sticks in your cart, those meat sticks will be free simply by using the code CHGO at checkout. Cody's tried the meat sticks. Ryan's tried the meat sticks. I've tried the meat sticks.
Fantastic.
Delicious.
They're very good. You heat them up in the microwave. You cut them in half because they're kind of long, but like cut them in half or something. Put them in the microwave. Great snack.
We used to have them in here with the hot dog buns. You feel like kind of something
Well, you know
similar
what else
to a
we're
hot
going to
dog.
have? We're going to have them again. We got the tailgate
the
coming
tailgate.
up against the
CHGO
Dolphins.
tailgate.
Yeah.
We've
the
got
weeks.
You can
November
buy
6th.
3
November 6th.
upcoming tailgates
that.
for football. We're at Michigan and Roosevelt is the area we've got for the tailgate. There's food and booze and drinks, all of it included with the ticket. It's a totally reasonable price. Beyond that, it's a great deal.
And you get to hang out with us.
Green Ridge Farm will be served there. We'll be doing grilling, everything. And so you can buy those tickets right now, chgo.com.
Yeah.
Can meet
All
the really
CHGO.
nice parking guy, too.
Really nice parking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And while you're at the tailgate, that's where you take your Game Time app and you wait to get your
Absolutely.
tickets.
Yeah. You can.
100%.
I love that you brought up Game Time, Luke. You know why? Because I used Game Time today to buy tickets to Illinois Northwestern at the end of November. Like, I got them today because the tickets were so cheap. You know why? Because Game Time's the best.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even have to wait. I got them for $30. Illinois Northwestern.
$30.
Illinois Northwestern football.
Against
Like,
Chicago's Big Ten team.
yeah.
Go Cats.
At Ryan
Go
Field,
Cats.
that
They're
high
struggling
school
this year.
stadium that they basically play in. Like, I can't wait to go and wear all my orange and blue at Ryan Field in Evanston at the end of November. And it's all thanks to Game Time. Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. Ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could? 50-yard line, courtside, behind home plate, floor seats at a concert, perhaps? It's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats that you thought you could never buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Bulls, Blackhawks, Bears, like we said, Northwestern, if you want to go watch their shitty football team like I am because my favorite college team is going to be there that day. Created by the fans, for the fans, guarantees the lowest price. If you love CHGO, you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events. Guys, Game Time's the best.
Yeah.
I don't want to set off an alarm here, but do you guys smell brownies? Do you smell like chocolate cake or brownies?
I think Mario's got something going over there.
What on earth?
Mario's cooking.
Wow, this show just kicked it up a notch.
There we go.
Smells like
good.
fresh baked brownies in the studio.
Could use one.
I
Right
feel it
Oh, I
considering
could-
like it's real gloomy outside here in Chicago today because all it is doing is raining. So
Brownie
like,
with some ice cream on top.
yeah,
yeah.
sit down, couch, watch all the CHGO shows. Like, sounds perfect.
Who needs an ice cream social when you have a brownie social? That might be the next step.
That's winter stuff for you.
hey,
Cody.
So I don't want to spend a ton of time in this. I saw Jim Bowden saying he believes Rizzo will opt out. And we kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday. All right, so
Which makes a lot of sense because
we've talked about Cody Bellinger. We've talked about Abreu.
Yep.
What about a reunion with Anthony Rizzo?
I love how you both just look.
I
at
just
me.
don't believe it's happening.
I
I believe
just- I
he
don't
was
see it,
soured
yeah.
on the process,
Yeah.
and so I think he's moved on, and he'd rather.
Well, I'll say this. You know, him staying in New York makes a lot of sense because I think that ballpark fits well for him.
Agreed.
You know, the batting average dipped for him this year. I guess it's similar to 2021's numbers as far as batting average, but home runs went back up. His first 30 home run season, you know, at least in a few years, right? At least I want to say 3 or 4 years. But I mean, yeah, if you want me to talk you into him perhaps
Yeah.
coming back to the
Talk
Cubs,
me into it. Talk
Let's
me
hear
into
it.
it.
Let's
into
hear it.
it.
Let's hear it.
Talk me into it's not Abreu, it's not Bellinger, it's Rizzo back at Wrigley.
Here's the way I think of it. If it were to actually happen, all right, still plays Gold Glove defense, right?
Yeah.
Still can do that. I think he'd be a great veteran presence for a guy like Matt Mervis to help groom him into that role. Also, you know,
Left-handed bat.
left-handed bat, and he has the power. I do think that the home run total might dip back down to what we saw in his later years with the Cubs, just because of you just never know at Wrigley. That wind really is something, right? So yeah, I think you get similar numbers, but a lower batting average, but still able to get on base at a decent clip because he does still walk and he still gives you great at bats and he gives you Gold Glove defense. Like there's absolutely no reason why the Cubs shouldn't entertain it. It sucks that I'm not going down that path. It sucks that we're in this position because of it. But like, I'm just saying, like, money talks, man. Money talks. The Cubs have the money to do it. Abreu makes a little bit more sense because he's right-handed and Mervis is left-handed. So like, if you're going to platoon, like you could play Abreu on days they play lefties. You know what I mean? But again, Rizzo brings the defense. I mean, I don't like using however many Gold Gloves you got as a reason that he's good defensively, but we all seen it with our own eyes. Like, the guy is an elite defensive first baseman. And again, it's still hitting. Like, it makes some sense. But yeah, I mean, it would make everyone here a lot happier. I'm just saying.
We're gonna let you dream it, even though we told you not to. Like,
If they couldn't agree on a multi-year deal before, I just don't know why they would be able to agree on a multi-year deal 1 year later.
And
That's fair.
And I feel like you get the feeling that he wants more than the 2 years that he got with the Yankees. Like, he probably opt out.
Probably
He might
wants
want
at
two,
least
like
3 or 4.
Yeah.
which means we.
I also think the Cubs are in a better position now, though, and that's
Well,
like
what I'm
a
saying
lot of
is
that,
Garrett-
They
got
got some
taken away.
prospects for him.
Garrett just talked about not blocking prospects. So like to give Rizzo a deal, he's what 33 right now. To give him a deal going into like 36 years old, even maybe depending what he wants, could get up to 37. I don't know, but then you're just that is when you get to the point of like blocking prospects that you want to see come up. And I'm
That's
not
fair,
saying
too.
that Rizzo wouldn't be good here again. It just it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I just don't see it.
If they did manage to do that, you definitely are playing Rizzo opening day at first base, and if Matt Mervis is playing anywhere for the Cubs, it's DH. Like that, and that's basically it. Like he would never, like Mervis would never play at first base except on days you want to give Rizzo a day off
Because of his back, which actually
which
maybe
would
more.
which would make sense. But again, 2 lefty bats, it really, especially at that position, doesn't really make a lot of sense. But again, they also need more lefty bats, so I don't know. But like again, like Garrett saying that doesn't make any sense. It makes sense in terms of what Rizzo brings. And again, we don't know what Matt Mervis is going to be. Matt Mervis should not be a reason why you don't go get yourself a proven veteran who is good on defense and still hitting. Like
Still hits for power. Like,
Yeah.
again, I'll say they do need power, especially
Right.
with Contreras going. Like, take away his homers.
I will also say, at this point in Rizzo's career, are you paying him for what he was or what he can still be?
Well, it's
we
going
know
to
he's
depend on what his market is,
we
right?
know he's a guy that has struggled with back stuff the last however many years, 3 years at least. Like,
Yes.
Right.
and we know
Even
that,
this year.
and maybe moving to New York. I mean, he was still good with the Cubs. Maybe moving to New York and playing there. I know like the short porch thing is. I like looking at it. It's like, oh, he would have hit him as like one less home run at Wrigley versus like Yankee Stadium kind of thing. Maybe that was good for him as far as a change of scenery.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like it's a guy who's entering. He's out of his prime. His back issues have come up multiple times in the last few years. It depends on his market, but at this point, it's like, what are you taking? I don't know. Like,
So
what
rank
are you taking the risk on?
Abreu, Bellinger, Rizzo, and you have to factor in the types of deals you have to give each guy. Where would you rank your priority?
Well, I think you definitely would have to pay Rizzo more than those other two guys.
I agree. That's why
Yeah.
I would
And
say
that's
maybe the
wild,
answer
'cause
is
Abreu's been
Abreu,
very
Bellinger,
good.
Rizzo.
Abreu's been very good, but he's also a little bit older.
Bellinger's by far the youngest.
Yeah, and Bellinger's by far the youngest, and it's a different situation. But like when you look, if you're asking me who would I rather the Cubs get, Rizzo or Abreu, I mean, that's so hard to decide. Like I guess.
No, you would want Rizzo. Like,
Well, yeah, as far
in your
as,
heart
like,
of
in your
hearts,
heart,
you-
it'd be like I'd
I'm
rather
trying
have
to
Rizzo.
put
Cody would
emotions
rather-
to the side here, folks. I'm trying to put emotions to the side here. You know,
Well, also just look at the postseason he just had. He was great.
Yeah, he had a great
Yeah.
postseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, he won me who you got postseason, which it only matters. Like nothing matters in the regular season. It's all about what you do when it matters in the playoffs, right?
I knew that line was coming this
Just
week at some
saying.
point. I don't know if we even declared you the winner, but
We did.
right.
I digress.
Garrett also says, would we really want to risk a qualifying offer for Rizzo? Is he talking about like the draft pick compensation?
Yeah, it would, but
Yeah.
that I think the Yankees would offer if he were to leave. Would offer they would offer the qualifying offer, and then whoever.
Right. So the Cubs would have to give up a draft pick. Blah, blah. I don't know. Again, Abreu, from a baseball sense, makes more sense because you already got Mervis, who seems like could be a guy. He's left-handed. Abreu's right-handed. He's a little bit older, but he's still hitting. Like, you'd love to have a platoon situation there. If you sign Rizzo, Rizzo would be blocking Matt Mervis, at least from playing first base. The Cubs were like, we just want to see this guy be a DH, then fine. But I think having a right-handed and a left-handed guy who can play first base is I think there's more value there. So
Yeah, no,
I just-
it just
but again, yeah, I would love to have Rizzo back. It would honestly probably repair some wounds from this fan base. But like I don't want the Cubs operating on trying to make the fan base happy because of emotions. As much as I would love him back.
As much as I would like Rizzo back on the Cubs someday, even more I would like a warm platter of brownies in here right now, that smell, I don't know where it's coming from. Who's making brownies in this building? It is killing me.
is it Mario?
All right, let's get to our report cards. We have the great Yan Gomes on the report card for our position player today. We've been going through the Cubs roster, player by player, one pitcher, one position player. Today we're going with Yan Gomes, the catcher of the future, I guess. I don't know what to say. Like it looks like he's going to be the main guy next year.
What did you nickname him one time? You picked him for who you got, I think.
Go me, my homie.
Go me, my homie. There you go. Oh my God.
He was great in the role that he was this year, right? Like
Yeah.
if I'm comparing, the thing is with the report cards, I'll just say before I even start this segment, is like I graded him versus other catchers, not just for what he was on this role. For his role, he was worth every penny this year. For his role on this team,
He lived up to the contract.
he lived up to the deal.
Yeah.
Now, him compared to Wilson Contreras or compared to Yadi Molina, Cody's favorite player, then the grades are slightly different.
Yeah. Well, he did play better than Yadi Molina
Yeah.
this year, so
Right.
whatever.
Naked guy's not wearing brownies. He's not making brownies. I don't think we're going to see him all winter.
Yeah,
All right, Cody,
we
you
may never see
hit
him.
Gomes with your report card first.
All right,
What's
so
the grade you
I
have?
go offense C-, defense A-, and then a B- overall. It's weird. Like I felt weird giving Gomes a C- for offense, but when you look at the numbers on Fangraphs, it's like, was it really that bad? Like, there were actually moments where I felt like he got big hits in certain situations. So I kind of feel bad with it. But the defense was great, right? Like he was a great defensive backup catcher, and the pitchers loved him. I think like that plays a big role into how the Cubs are going to operate on whether Contreras is back next year or they get another catcher that's similar probably to him, I think. So I thought it's kind of like what Luke said about him overall, how he performed. I think he lived up to the contract that he got, the 2-year deal that he's on. He was honestly, in a way, he was better than what I expected, but I didn't really have any expectations to begin with because I didn't really know too much about the guy except that he was on the 2019 Washington Nationals. But I think the big thing for me is like the defense and his ability to work well with the Cubs pitching staff is huge. It really is huge. If I'm going to be told that Yadi Molina is going to the Hall of Fame because of his defense and his ability to work with pitchers and stuff like that, and that's a reason why he's going to the Hall of Fame, then seeing what Yan Gomes has done with the Cubs pitchers has significant value. So, and that's the Cubs pitching staff. Like we've talked about it all year. Like it is growing and it's only getting better. I mean, we've seen the numbers of Cubs pitchers ERA when Gomes was their catcher compared to when Contreras was, and I mean it's I don't want to say it was an alarming thing, but it was definitely significantly different. So I like the defense the most, obviously, and I think that he was a very solid player for the Cubs in his role.
Fair?
Yeah,
fair.
fair.
B-. Ryan, where'd you go on Yan Gomes?
Yeah, I was probably a little less bullish on his offense than Cody was. I don't know. I definitely was.
I don't know. When I think of Gomes on offense, all I could think about was like.
And I will give you that there was a few times, but he had that one.
Moments.
He had that
Yan
one.
Gomes game.
Yan Gomes game when we were
game?
sitting here watching the game, going through it, and then he hit like 2 or 3 home runs against the Phillies. Like I get it.
He had some moments, man.
He had some moments, and that's fair, and maybe this is a little unfair because he was never coming in. You were expecting to be this like really good defense or offensive catcher,
right?
But just looking at the overall sample of his season, I mean, a 73 WRC plus is right there with like that's 27% below league average, and that's right there down there with like the worst seasons of his career. And that's not the only one. There's a lot of numbers that I don't think it was the worst season of his career offensively, but there were a lot of numbers that were very, very low that he put up this season. And again, you're not relying on him for your bat, which is why I still at a C plus, right? Like he was a lot better defensively. Again, I think I had an A minus on there. It could have been an A. It's probably right around the middle of that. As Cody said, it was like he came in, he was a backup catcher. He was supposed to be the guy that, was able to let Wilson Contreras get off his feet every once in a while. And he did that to perfection. And he, the pitching staff loved working with him. He brought a great veteran presence in there, especially with a lot of the younger pitchers that were coming up or were, still trying to get their feet wet in the big leagues. Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson, Hayden Wesneski later in the year. Hayden Wesneski loved Yan Gomes. Like the way he talked about him, loved him. But you got those guys, even the younger guys in the bullpen that, Brandon Hughes, Michael Rucker, who we probably will get to in a sec. Like those guys all raved about him, and for good reason. Like he's a very, he's a veteran, 35 years old, something like that. Veteran presence behind the plate that knows how to work with championship caliber pitching staffs, and there's a reason why the Cubs brought him in to be that. So his defense, I think I gave him an A minus, and it was solely based on those kind of factors. Like I said, the D and the offense, he had his moments, but overall just didn't feel like a great offensive year to me. So overall C plus, which I think, again, for what Yan Gomes was brought in to do, I think earning a C plus is you couldn't really have asked for much more. Like overall C plus, like again, you weren't asking him to be a great hitter. You're asking him to be a great backup catcher, and that's what he was. So I think that there averages it out based on how he did this season.
So Cody went overall B minus.
Yeah.
Ryan goes C plus. Here's my report card, and I do wonder. I saw Collada saying he's just a backup, and I understand that was his role this year. If they move forward and he is the everyday guy, right?
Collada says he's Henry Blanco.
Yeah, don't
hate on Henry Blanco.
Don't hate on Henry Blanco, Collada.
I'm on the
Cubs
overall
legend.
B minus train too because I thought the defense was an A minus. Again, I don't remember the last time I heard Kyle Hendricks openly just rave about a catcher the way he did the first time that Yan Gomes caught him and they had a really good connection. And clearly young pitchers developed this season, and he caught a lot of games. So I don't know how much credit I give him for that, but I have to give him some. So I'll go A- on that. The defense was good. The offense, that's where he's definitely just a backup. And I do kind of wonder, I was watching the Astros, and you're just like, well, if the Cubs were just going to go all defensively, right, on their catcher, why didn't they just hang on to Maldonado?
Right.
Or like, why didn't you go super cheap and just hang on to him? Like, if that's the route you're going to go, where catcher's just a guy that calls a good game, and we don't care if you hit a buck
What year was
50.
that? That was
Was
like
that 19,
That was 2018 or
Well,
2019.
why not just hang on to him?
I don't think they thought that way 4 years ago, especially when Wilson had
It's
just
been
They
come
a
off.
weren't ready to
while.
admit that the full rebuild was coming.
Especially because Wilson had just come off with his second All-Star season at that point, and he was
There was
improving
a lot of
defensively.
There was a lot of good reason to not hang on to him. I mean, also in 2019,
think
they needed more offense.
They traded him for
than
Tony Kemp, right?
Yep.
Yes, I
Something like
believe
that.
so.
Yeah, Tony Kemp.
Yep.
So, anyways,
13 at bats with the Cubs, no hits.
I like the job that he did this season. It's easily a passing grade. That's why I give him a B-. Is he a top-tier catcher? No, that's why I couldn't give him an A or even just a B, because if I'm comparing him to the rest of the league, I am concerned that he's not going to be a B- next season in a new role.
Yeah.
Like, if he has to take this role on a more full-time fashion next year, and then somebody else is sliding in, maybe it's Higgins is the backup guy, I don't know. But if he's the main guy going into the season and he gives you the same season he just did, then it's not necessarily a B- for me. I would think it's probably more like a C-.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
He's
If his role's
yeah.
different, he's then
If he goes into next year as your starting catcher, we got an issue here. We definitely have a problem.
I don't know if it's a problem. I'm just saying I won't think as highly of
sure.
him. Like,
Well, that's
if
fair,
that's what
too.
you're going to do, and Yan Gomes is your starter, and you're hoping Amaya finally gets healthy and Higgins can fill in or whatever they're going to do with catcher, then you need to make some significant improvements, because you'd be making a huge downgrade in the offensive side of the catching game, where you actually got some home runs in production this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I just think he played well in his role.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask for a guy like him at his age and his position. Like,
Yeah.
those are winning type players.
Again, he did exactly what the Cubs brought him in to do.
Right.
That was all they asked him to do, and he did it well.
Yeah.
And that
And
was,
he's a savvy vet. Like, he'll probably, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going in with him as your full-time catcher next year, you're going to have a big problem. I don't think he would last in terms of.
You have to have
like,
another backup plan, right?
You'd have to have another guy. Like, that's why so many people want Contreras back. But I'm there. I'm with you there. But also, like, you gotta, if it's not him, you gotta get someone else who's probably clearly going to be significantly cheaper. But if he's the same thing as a Yan Gomes type, like, I'm okay with that too, as long as you're still upgrading the roster at other positions.
Right,
You know
right,
what I
right.
mean? So.
Hey, Foco, Chicago, you already have your best coverage for your favorite team, so get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Foco's got you covered from Soldier Field to the French Room, north, south side, hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. Get decked out like DeMar with apparel from the leader in sports merch and collectibles, Foco. If you're looking for that perfect gift for the football fan in your life, Foco's got you covered with hoodies to fight the Lake Michigan breeze. I bet you they have some Justin Fields jerseys ready to go today, too. Check out Foco.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use that promo code CHGO and you will get 10% off. Chi-Town Cornhole, another popular one. That will be at the tailgate as well, coming up against the Dolphins, and then the next one against the Lions. And what's the one at the Packers, right? Those are the
Packers,
three
yep.
upcoming tailgates we have. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Our signature box-style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. Our cornhole boards come with built-in drink holders recessed in the back, LEDs that light up the hole, and exterior, handles for easy carrying, and handcrafted scorekeepers. Veteran owned and operated. They ship anywhere and offer local pickups as well, specializing in corporate designs for your company's next marketing or social event, wedding gifts, gifts for all occasions, especially tailgaters and backyard barbecues. Holiday season coming up. Get ready. Check out their website, shytowncornhole.com, and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Shytown Custom Cornhole Boards. They sent us some that are very cool. We'll have them at the tailgates coming up. Cody's got some at home, don't you?
No, I don't have it.
Oh, you don't have them yet?
I do not have a.
Well, I know what to get you for the holiday season.
I don't have any room for a bag set at my house or cornhole set.
I got room.
You got room?
You buying?
We'll see.
Just kidding.
Maybe you ever just
You get me a set, I'll leave it here at the office, I guess.
When I win that
spring day, you
$500,
just go outside and on the
DraftKings.
sidewalk and just put them out there.
Yeah, I guess I could put them outside my apartment because the neighborhood I'm in is very safe and like I don't have to worry about shit being taken.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
We won't tell the world where you live, just like you told Corey. I told everyone where Corey lives.
Gave away his address and a photo.
I didn't give away his address.
And then he
I
was
just
like,
kind
and
of.
here's
You
the-
gave him. He said, "Don't you
Google
live on the corner of this and this?"
Yeah, and here's the Google image of his locks and what he has on his door, and
Not my fondest
he
moment.
gets his
okay?
keys made.
Here's a copy of his keys.
Not my.
As a matter of fact, here's the key ring.
What's his mother's maiden name?
And what street did he grow up living on?
Oh my god. Okay, I apologize once again. I hope no one has showed up at Corey's house.
Yeah, right. So we have another report card to give out, and Collada says that my grades are. If you look at that, well, we have a World Series team. Well, Michael, we'll see what I have to say about Michael Rucker
Yeah.
as the grades continue here on the CHGO Cubs podcast.
All right. I'll go first.
All right.
Guess, right.
Yeah, you go first again.
So results, I'm going D. Adjust/stuff. I went C plus because he did get better as the year goes on or went on. Believe it or not. And overall D plus. So just to, as far as stuff and adjustments, just like I did with Leiter, his numbers in the first half or before the trade deadline were not great. Before the trade deadline, Rucker had a 5.25 ERA, 3.74 FIP, and that's in 24 innings. He actually had more innings after the trade deadline, 30 and two thirds,
yep.
30 and 2/3 innings after the trade deadline, 2.93 ERA. The FIPS is a bit higher at 4.71, 7.63 strikeouts per 9. Again, I think that he potentially could be a guy for the bullpen next year, potentially, depending on how the Cubs revamp that bullpen. He was better in the last 2 months. I'll give him credit there. There's still like some PTSD that he's given me. I mean, I was at the Caleb Killian Major League debut, and it was a fun game to go to against the Cardinals, and they went to extra innings, and they brought in Michael Rucker, and he just really had a terrible outing, gave up like 3 or 4 runs in the 10th inning, and it was disgusting. It was awful. But he got better as the season went on. He is homegrown. He is a guy that they developed themselves. He's never going to be a high-end, high-leverage guy. I think his best role is definitely multi-inning middle reliever. If you're down 3-4 runs, or if you're up 4 or 5 runs, he's not a bad guy to bring in to potentially eat some innings if you don't want to gas out all your high leverage arms. But that's about it. He's never going to be a guy that we all are like, yes, that guy's coming in. He is going to shut it down. That said, he did have some appearances where he actually did open my eyes a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's just never going to move the needle for the Cubs bullpen. But thankfully for the Cubs, they have plenty of other guys who are doing that. I think he's a solid guy to have in the pen for certain situations. But man, like I can't take seeing him in high leverage spots anymore. That's where I'm at with it. That's why results are D, because they especially in the first half of the year where they would bring him in after a starter couldn't get it done. He'd come in and make it worse. I'll give him credit. Again, in the second half, he pitched in a lot more high leverage situations because they traded all those relievers, and he opened my eyes a little bit. But we haven't seen him for a full year. It's not like he's established himself as a guy, right? So that's why D+ overall. It could have been worse. He salvaged a little bit of the year, and whether you want to take those last 2 months of the year as nothing because the Cubs weren't in it, fine. But I can't sit here and say he was awful for the entire year like I have some guys whenever he did get better by the end of the year.
Yeah. I'll go through it pretty quickly because it's very similar to Cody, my report card for him. I went D+ on the results, C- on the adjustments and the stuff, and then a D+ overall. Probably could have been right there between D+ and C-. Actually, me and Colada are very, very similar. I don't know what
That's
that
kind of surprising.
I don't know what that says about me.
D+.
Wow.
Results wise,
Michael.
Cody, you talked about it. Just overall season wise, was a 3.95 ERA, but it was a 4.28 FIP. Didn't no wins above replacement for Fangraphs at least. It was I think Baseball Reference had that like half a win above replacement. I mean, it wasn't great, and then especially considering the way the bullpen was made up earlier in the season, he wasn't the high leverage guy. Like, he wasn't pitching in a lot of high leverage roles, and I think remembering what his first half looked like, Ross was still kind of going throwing him out there and trying to get multi-inning kind of work, seeing if he could be a guy that could do that. But he wasn't great in the first half. I think it was like a what was it? It was over 5 on the ERA, 5.25 ERA.
Before the trade deadline, or going into August 1st.
Yeah. Could be,
he ended up, what, 3.95?
Yeah.
3.95 overall.
Yeah.
So, but he got optioned multiple times this season. Before that, clearly he wasn't pitching like that well. If you're pitching that well, you're not getting optioned, right?
Right.
This is all pre-trade deadline, and he got optioned at the beginning of July, July 10th, and didn't come back up for 3 weeks until all the trades would happen, right?
Yep.
But after that, he pitched well. He had a 2.93 ERA. I think the strikeouts might have gone down a little bit, and the walks might have gone up. So again, it wasn't like he had all these great adjustments and had a spectacular second half. But he pitched better, and he pitched in a few more high leverage innings. I mean, he pitched a lot more in the 7th and the 8th. He had a couple times where he pitched in the 9th with small leads. Like there was one game against the Cardinals I was looking at that he ended up getting a win. Yeah, August 23rd against the Cardinals. He pitched from the 5th and the 6th, but he ended up with the win. In the game before that, pitched in the 9th. I mean, he had some opportunities in high leverage, and I'm not going to say he had the best success in that, but he had the way his season went in the second half versus the first half was it wasn't night and day, but it felt a lot better, and it felt more like, okay, like you said, like this could be a guy that if they revamp the bullpen next year, they're trying to compete. Well, you also do need the guys that can just go out there and give you 2 innings, 3 innings, even if it is in mop-up duty, and I think he can do that. I think he did that well.
I think he has a little bit higher
on.
upside than Leiter. I'll give him that much.
Yeah, and he's younger.
Yeah, and
So-
that's why.
They're very similar.
Yeah,
He's
they're very
20
similar,
yeah.
but I think the ceiling is a little bit higher for him based off the stuff.
He throws 94 to 95 on the fastball average. So, like, he has a good fastball. And I looked at, like, a StatCast, and a couple of his pitches had, just barely, but negative run value. So, they were above average kind of in the league. The fastball, again, like I said, 94 miles an hour. But, it was a lot. It felt a lot average when you look at, like, the StatCast stats. Like, a lot of it was average. But just like D+, C-ish area. I don't considering where he started, I think that is a fair grade, and you're right around there as well.
Well, a lot of people going D+. I see Frank's going D+, Colada's going D+, Cody's going D+, you're going D+. What are you guys trying to build a World Series team? I looked at it and went, okay, yeah, I'll go that way. Fine, I'll go positive. First I was saying all D's, then should I go C-minuses? I had started with straight D's down the list.
You did,
and my straight D's were going, and then I didn't want to be too negative. I didn't want to be called Colada. And now I've gone maybe too positive. My first reaction was going to be straight D's. He's just a dude. I don't know. I don't care. Like, he's just a guy, right? Like, this is not some major piece of the future. I don't believe in any way, shape, or form. He's just a guy. He's some depth. He did get better. So Cody said, yeah, he did get better. And I was like, oh, okay. And I don't want to be, I don't want to be the Uncle Buzzkill again. So I went C- this time. But
Colada said,
do I really believe it's D's? Yes, probably.
Colada said, knew you would be higher.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I actually had it in. I changed it right before the show. I was in. I submitted all D's, and then I said, you know what? Change it to C-. I don't want to be. He's the same guy as Leiter, only he's a little bit younger.
It's in between that. It really is. Because, again, like
Luke
grades on a curve.
That's right.
No, it
rounds it up.
It's just, again, and the results overall could be at a D depending how you look at it. It could be a little higher, like how we had a D+, even low C-. I think it's all in between that. But it doesn't all come from the results. It comes from, like, the results were really bad early, and then he adjusted well. Stuff played a little bit better that way. And that's why I think that kind of averages it out to, okay, like D+, C- area range. So I don't think Luke is too far off.
No, and not only that, not only do I grade on a curve, but I can be bribed as a teacher with my report card. I'm just telling you right now. Have we done Zach McKinstry yet?
No.
We have not.
We'll do McKinstry tomorrow. If he's out there and he's listening to this podcast and he wants a better grade, send some of the brownies that I smell in the hallway. or maybe a basket of fresh apples from Michigan. I don't care what it is.
Fresh apples.
I can be bought.
You can. Yeah.
Who do you want to do tomorrow? McKinstry, what pitcher haven't we done? Have we done Hughes?
Can we do a good pitcher?
Have we done Hughes yet?
Have we done Hughes?
We have not done Hughes.
We've done Miley, Smiley, Hendricks, Stroman, right?
No.
Steele.
We haven't done Stroman yet?
We haven't done Stroman.
We've not done Stroman?
Have
We
we
can
done
do Stroh.
Keegan?
Let's do
Let's do
Stroh.
Stroman.
All right, Stroman and McKinstry.
Yeah,
Stroman and McKinstry tomorrow.
let's do it.
Stro Show, if you're out there, I
I'm on the
like
show.
brownies with and without chocolate chips. However, do not ever put peanuts in a brownie.
Oh, I'm
Big
with
mistake.
you. Don't do that. Yeah.
Big
I don't
mistake.
think I've ever done that.
If
Geometry
you are
teacher?
quiet in class, I pass you.
Hey,
Geometry
sometimes it's
teacher.
all it takes.
I wish my geometry teacher thought of that.
I wish mine too, because I sucked at math.
As someone who's
I
worked in
hated
schools in the
geometry.
past, like
Yes.
that helps. Just being
be
being
quiet?
and respectful.
Yeah, that
it
was part of
helps.
my problem then.
It helps.
That explains some of it. Not a good student, and I talked a lot.
We want to end on a positive note with the HAP video? You want to
Let's
save
do
that
it.
for tomorrow?
No, you know what? Let's do it because we talked about that he was in on the trade deal. Real quick, let's show this. Posted on Twitter. Ian Happ had this video that he wanted to say he was thinking of Cubs fans, which I thought was kind of
There
nice.
you go.
Hang on a second. We're having a technical difficulty.
All right,
Oh.
maybe we'll see it tomorrow.
Maybe we'll kick off the show with it.
You know what? Let's save it for tomorrow.
That works. Are we good?
That's what we call a tease.
Yeah, tease. Well, don't we have a guest tomorrow?
We're hoping so.
We're hoping so.
We're working on a guest.
We're teasing on a guest.
We're
now.
teasing that we're hoping we're going to have a guest
teasing
tomorrow,
to hope to have
and
a
we're
guest.
also
We're
hoping
just-
there's going to be brownies in the
We're
building,
just teasing everything.
and a little Hap video and report McKinstry, Stroman. I always forget. 5 minutes later.
We could do World Series predictions before the end of the week too.
Yeah, I feel
We could do that.
we can do it tomorrow or Thursday. We also need to pick our
World Series. Who you got?
or who you got World Series.
Oof.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Guys,
All
we
right.
got stuff to do. All right, thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Bear down.
Fair time.